Alrighty, so I actually did run into a little bit of an error. And what I had to do was I had to restart my computer and open up the boot settings. It's called BIOS. If you run into this error, we're probably going to need to hop on the phone. It's not a big deal. Just know that that's probably what's going to happen is we're probably going to have to hop on the phone to fix it. It takes 10 minutes or less. It's honestly just changing a quick setting. Alrighty, so now let's check to see if after fixing that, Ubuntu works. Hopefully I should click Ubuntu. It should be installing. And hopefully I'm not stuck here for like 10 minutes again. Just to talk a little bit about what the error is that on a PC, if you restart your computer and hold F2, you have access to these settings that are kind of like the overall PC settings. They're called your BIOS settings, BIOS. And on those BIOS settings, one of the things is that you could change is whether or not you enable virtualization. Since this is a virtual computer, you have to make sure that you enable virtualization. Something that we'd probably have to do over a call because you have to restart your computer to do it. So I actually can't screen record myself doing it. That's just the way that it is. So now we're back into Ubuntu and it's asking me for a username. So I'm going to go ahead and type in a username that I'm going to use. I am going to be JJ Higgs. That's my GitHub name too. And now I'm going to press enter. And this is exactly like you creating a username and a password for your computer. The only difference is that this is a computer inside of your computer. So you need to create a username and a password. Now I'm going to start typing a password in here and you're not going to see anything change. Now, the reason why you're not going to see anything change is because this is Unix's way of protecting your password. So for example, I'm going to type one right now. You don't know what it is, but I just typed one. Bam. Sweet. So I typed in a password and now we are in Ubuntu. Finally, that was a lot of setup. Just so you know, you're not going to have to do all this setup once you're coding. In general, we still got maybe an hour or 2 hours worth of material left before your computer is fully set up. But I want to mentally prepare you for the fact that you're not going to be working with this setup stuff all the time. Coding is a much different feeling, and I personally think it's a lot more fun. But while we're here, let's go ahead and talk about what we can do in Ubuntu. So Ubuntu is simply just, it's got like a whole bunch of files on it. Let's look around. One terminal command that you may have already learned, maybe not, it's okay, either way, is ls. So ls lists all of the files in the current directory. So if I type in ls, there's nothing in there because I haven't made anything yet. The very first thing that I'm going to do is just make something stupid. We're going to make a silly folder. I'm going to type in make directory, silly folder. And now if I type in ls, you see how silly folder pops up right there? It's kind of some bad coloring there. It's really hard to read, but hey, that's the default colors that they chose. Cool. So now I can do terminal-y stuff. So when we learn about the terminal, you're going to be doing your terminal in here, not in PowerShell. PowerShell is a different terminal. This is Microsoft's terminal. But now we are running Linux inside of Microsoft. We don't really need to touch PowerShell ever from now on, unless you become a Windows developer, in which case you're going to be making that bank. All righty, sweet. So let's go ahead and I just want to show you quickly like what the folder structure in Ubuntu is like. So right now, and let me see if I can find a drawing app online, because I think that might help. Oh, I could just do MS Paint. We're just going to do Paint. So the way that I think about the folders, let's go ahead and put this to the left, and we're going to put this to the right, Ubuntu to the left. So let's say I am in my root directory. And now inside of here, I am going to type in ls and I have that silly folder. So that means that inside of here is silly folder. Boop. I'm just going to call it silly for now. I can actually move into this directory. So I'm going to go ahead and type in cd change directory into silly folder. And instead of actually typing in silly folder, I'm going to type in SIL. And since my computer is smart, if I press tab, it's going to know that that's the only one that starts with that's SIL. And now I'm going to go ahead and press enter. And now I'm inside of silly folder. I'm right here. So now that we're inside of silly folder, I can do things. Let's make a couple files. I'm going to make a file called index.js. I'll make another file called funtime.md, which is markdown. And now if I type in ls, I have both of those files listed here. So let's draw out what we have here. Bam, silly, bam, bam. I have my index.js. And I also have, let's make that a little bit wider, fun time. And this is just a file tree. That's all that it is. Now it might be scary to look at inside of here, but hey, see how I'm here now? I now have access to those. Watch what happens when I move back from being here to being here. And I'm going to go ahead and erase that. So I don't want to be in silly anymore. I now want to be back in my home directory is what this is called, that squiggly line. You can't see it, but like if you look right there, it's a little squiggly line. So now if I cd ... means go one up. So if I'm here, go one up into this guy. So if I cd ... now I am in the home directory. And if I type in ls, all I have access to is that silly folder. Cool, awesome. There's just some basics of Ubuntu. So something to note, this home folder is actually not the highest folder here. So it actually goes up, and let's test it out. I'm going to type in cd ... again to move out one, and now it looks like we're in a home directory. So if I go out one, oh, that's not a pencil. Out one, we're in the home directory. I can't draw. And let's see what's inside of the home directory. If I type in ls, oh, it's the only thing inside of the home directory is this guy right here. Cool, we can cd out again. And now if I type in ls, I have all of these. So let's just grab 3 of them, for example. So maybe outside of this, maybe home is also parallel to lib, bin, for example. And you know what? I want to see what directory I'm in right now. So what I could do is I could type in pwd or print working directory to check. And this is about as far out as you can go. Watch, I'm going to try cd ... again. And if I type in pwd, I get the same thing. So this is how far out you can go in Ubuntu. This is called your root directory. Root. And then this is your home directory. Now, for now, you don't need to really worry about any of that stuff. We're primarily going to be working out of here and down. So from now on, you're going to be creating your own files inside of your home directory. The stuff here is really more for like, how does your computer work? We don't really care about that right now. We're trying to train you to become software developers that are mainly focused on like web development. So you're not actually like building computer operating systems. We're not going to train you for that kind of thing anytime soon. Of course, you could always choose to go down that route if you decide you like it, and maybe you will. Hopefully you will. Who who knows? But also web developers get paid a ton, just as much as a lot of those great deep level computer people. It just depends on what you want to do with your career. Sweet. So that's all I got for this lesson. I'll see you in the next one.